So I was on the fence about making another video about Mr. Enter and his Turning Red review. I didn't even think my original video would blow up the way it did. However, it became one of my most popular uploads, making me at least consider the idea of doing a follow-up that wasn't a meme. The problem with doing another video on Mr. Enter is that I'd only make it if I had something new to say. For example, in my original, I called out Enter for waiting years to complain about something not representing the time it took place. But again, if Enter believed this was a real issue, why did he wait until Turning Red's release to complain about it? However, I said something else in my video that convinced me I could do another video on him. Before we get into that, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you want to see more of my content and help my channel grow. I also want to thank everyone who helped make my original video on Mr. Enter my highest viewed one this year. I had no idea it would become so popular, so I just wanted to thank everyone for helping it reach so many views so quickly. With that out of the way, let's jump into today's topic. In my original video, I said I couldn't see how anyone could understand Mr. Enter's critique for Turning Red. Since then, I've seen some fans say that his statement was taken out of context, and we just misunderstood what he meant. The most prominent example of this is on his wiki that says this about his Turning Red review. Within 24 hours of its release, this has become one of Enter's most controversial reviews to date, if not the most. Much of the criticism towards the review revolves around Enter claiming that the film misrepresents the year it takes place in by not reflecting the post-9/11 paranoia at the time, which some people, most notably on Twitter, mistaking this statement for Enter believing the film would have been better if it directly referenced the terrorist attacks. Not to get too off topic, but that last sentence could have been broken up into two. Anyways, back to the statement. The controversy towards the review led to Enter disabling comments on the video, a first for the channel. Additionally, this video is the first to receive more dislikes than likes. In my opinion, this is an argument that we should address. Sometimes people take things out of context and paint someone in a bad light. Does that mean that's what happened with Mr. Enter and people took his critique out of context? Absolutely not, and here's why. Mr. Enter's only reason for bringing up 9/11 is the year Turning Red takes place, 2002. It doesn't have to do with where the film takes place or the plot, just the year. He makes it feel like the minute he found out the year of this movie, his first thought was, oh, this was right after 9/11. So let me ask everyone watching this video a question. What comes to mind when you think about what happened in your life in 2002? For me, a lot happened that year. My brother graduated high school. I got over 2 straight weeks off of school because it snowed so much. And it was the year we had to put my first dog down after she broke her hip. My point is, a lot happened in that year that I remember, and I'd wager anyone watching this can list things that happened in their life. However, 9/11 isn't the first thing I think about when I look back at my life at that time. Mr. Enter makes it sound like the 9/11 attacks stopped everyone's life. Don't get me wrong, 9/11 was a horrible thing and we mourned after it happened. However, like any tragedy in our world, we move on. That's not saying we forget about it. We just find a way to move on because that's what you do in life. This leads me to my biggest issue with Mr. Enter's review, which is how he said this. In his review, Enter says, quote, people were paranoid because 9/11 wasn't the only terror attack that had happened. It was a major theme of the decade. He also said, quote, you have very awkward moments if you actually were there and you do actually remember the time period. The problem is he's treating this like a fact. He's saying that everyone in the Western world was paranoid about this event. Again, I'm not taking his words out of context. Those lines are literally what he said. It's from the part of his review everyone is making memes out of, is what I dislike about his review. Several people heard that critique and pointed out why they were making fun of it. One that was actually on my previous video and said, quote, nobody at my school or high school ever discussed 9/11. We weren't American and we were just kids/teens, unquote. Another comment I saw in someone else's video was someone who said they were from Mexico. They said they knew 9/11 happened, but they had their own problems. That's not saying 9/11 wasn't significant. It's them saying their country had its own issues to worry about back then. Before I go on, I'll leave a link to the video where I saw that comment in the description. Here's the thing about Mr. Enter's comment. If he had said it made him feel uncomfortable because he remembers 9/11 being a big deal, I'd be more okay with that. I'd still find it weird that he immediately thought of 9/11 during this film, which takes place in Canada, but I'd at least be more understanding that it's just his thoughts. Instead, he presented it as a fact about the world. If you're going to argue why something like this should be a factor in the movie, you have to present why that is. You can't just say, oh, it's 2002 and Canada is part of the Western world, so talk about this. However, Enter assumes everyone thinks the same as him most of the time and doesn't feel the need to explain. Not to beat a dead horse, but one of the reasons his series Growing Around failed was because he didn't feel anyone deserved an explanation on things like his premise. He asked for $350,000 and said his fans didn't deserve to know something related to his series. Not sure about you, but I wouldn't invest in anything if someone told me that. If you're curious to hear more about that, check out Daft Peanut's video on Growing Around. I'll leave a link to that in the description as well. It's a great look at why Growing Around failed. So once again, Mr. Enter's comments were not taken out of context by us. We heard him bring this up out of the blue and called him out for making them. I understand some fans wanting to defend him. I mean, I was a fan and felt people did go overboard at times messing with him, but sometimes you have to stand up and tell someone they need to do better. Mr. Enter can be a great reviewer. I enjoy his reviews like his reviews on BoJack Horseman and Soul. I also like his critiques on things he dislikes like Your Name, which is a movie I enjoy. However, he brought up points that I agreed with, like why didn't they have Taki try to do the ceremony stuff while he was Mitsuha? That's an interesting critique and something I wish was in the movie. However, if this is going to be how he does things from here on out, I refuse to follow him. The definition of critique is, quote, a detailed analysis and assessment of something, especially a literary, philosophical, or political theory, unquote. It's not saying how you believe the world is and then complaining about a work that doesn't share your beliefs. If anyone refuses to accept that, then I refuse to accept that he's a critic. Moving forward, I think I'm done with Mr. Enter. Not just being a fan, but I don't think I'll make another video about him. However, if he does something worth talking about in the future, I might consider making another video if I have something new to say. At the same time, though, I want to go on to making content not related to him. I'm also a reviewer and want to be known for my takes on things I review. I'm also a writer and want to be known for the things I write. However, I'm also curious if I should consider doing videos like this in the future on other topics. So I'll ask you guys what you think. Should I consider doing more commentary type videos in the future? If so, what would you like to see me talk about in them? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if you're a fan of Mr. Enter watching this video, I'd love to hear how you think we took Mr. Enter's words out of context. Finally, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to see more of my content in the future. I'm Marco Strange. Stay safe, stay strange.